Praise the Lord, my saints and friends. I've been thinking about this topic pretty much all night. Ever since I saw it on television and saw the events unfold, I'm sure many of you have heard of what happened in Minneapolis. While there was protests over the presence of ICE officials that have come in mass to that particular city, that there was an incident that took place, a tragic one in which essentially a woman was shot and killed by ICE officers. And I learned that wasn't the first one that was killed around these confrontations over the country, around the country. But this one seems to have gained more attention because of the circumstance. This wasn't a Somali or any other type of minority. This was actually a white woman. And she, well, the story differs between two main groups. One, essentially, those that are eyewitnesses, which means that they may have been some protesters, but okay. They said that she was actually trying to get away from the ICE officers when she was shot and killed. The other narrative comes from the officers, from the secretary or the director of ICE, as well as the president. Said that she was actually trying to run over one of the ICE officials and therefore put herself in a situation where she had to be shot or use deadly force to stop her. I'm sure that's going to go back and forth over the next several days. But what I wanted to talk about really was a term that has been used more and more. And the idea is whether we are changing the definition of this term or whether the people are actually fitting the definition of this term. Excuse me. And that word is terrorist. You see, in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when I was growing up, young adulthood and turned it now, I've always thought of a terrorist as one whose main purpose was to, of course, terrorize by usually using deadly force on often more than just one person. Because the idea was to say that if I can get this amount of people, if I can unalive these people, then I can get you too. Therefore, it spreads terror. So that's why you'd see terrorists bomb public places before they had all the various controls and rules regarding flight, airplanes, trains and buses, just any place where there was more than one person, which would make sense if you're going to terrorize an entire population. Usually terrorists, unless they are specifically trying to aim for law enforcement. And sometimes terrorists will do that. They'll aim for law enforcement. See, that not even law enforcement is safe. You have to be on guard. You have to be vigilant, because they will always rise up and get you when you least expect it. And I think that's probably what the term of terrorist would mean to the current administration. That essentially you just, even if you only attack one or two, like for instance, the two that were in Washington, D.C. that was shot, the National Guardsmen that was shot. Of course, one of them died. But you wouldn't expect, and maybe that's the thing, that you don't expect terrorists to look a certain way. They should look like a suburban mom. They said that she had stuffed toys in the back of her vehicle. So who would think of her as, of course, a terrorist? But I think we today are so paranoid about what a terrorist could be that we end up, anyone could be a terrorist. But the question then comes essentially, of course, it's always intent. Does a person intend to kill, intend to injure, intend to carry out a particular plan violently? Or were they caught in the heat of the moment and they panicked, afraid, whatever? Many times you can tell whether a person is a terrorist or not. Not just because their intent will show in a particular way. So, if this woman was a terrorist, then there would be intent in her to go and hurt somebody, right? Right. Essentially, as God will always judge. Remember, I'm an elder. I'm always going to bring God somewhere in this, okay? So you have to understand that. But God knows the intent. God knew the intent of this particular woman. Even if we never do, because she's been unalived. But God always knows. So she knows that her last action was it intent to hurt someone, or was she just trying to get away? Again, people do strange things when they are trying to get away. But you can see the action. You can tell. So if someone is a terrorist, again, I just gave you the definition. Someone with intent to hurt, intent to kill, intent to frighten an inordinate amount of people so as to magnify the fear of them. A terrorist is not just someone that, I hate to say it, is just not someone that somehow hurts law enforcement. Like, for instance, a drunk driver, even though a drunk driver can kill many people and not even know it, that's not a terrorist, because there's no intent. The person has just lost control of himself or herself. A person who's running away, you can't say that that's a terrorist because they're trying to get away. Now, does someone get hurt trying to chase them? Possibly. But if the person is effort is to get away, not to hurt someone, then that's not a terrorist act. Usually also a terrorist would have some type of proclamation as to why they would do a certain thing. You would find it in their documents. You would find it on their computer. Sometimes they would scream something. Sometimes they would have a sort of a document that says, this is why I'm doing it. And from what I can tell, this woman doesn't have a document. Don't think she wrote anything in her computer. I'm sure they're going to check it. So we'll see we'll see in the future. And it has to be more than just, well, I don't like what's going on out here, or giving an opinion. If that's the case, then I could be a terrorist because I state my opinion. Now, am I going to go outside and terrorize people? No. I wouldn't be a terrorist in the natural sense. But that's the key here. For it appears in this administration that if you say anything against the administration, you become a potential terrorist, which seems what's taking place. They're naming her a terrorist because she happened to drive and put some officers in danger, so she is automatically a terrorist. Now, there are procedures that we do now because we don't want to start naming everybody a terrorist. And over the past few years, decades even, that they wouldn't just throw out the word terrorist because they want to know exactly what happened, what were the circumstances, was there any intent beforehand? See, they go through all this before they say someone is a terrorist. So they're now using this word for anything that happens to a law enforcement official, whether the intent was there or not. And that, to me, is what's most disconcerting because, as I said, anyone who opposes the administration and who says that they oppose the administration, not to oppose this country, not oppose democracy, not oppose the Constitution, but they oppose the actions of this administration, that they have now more and more beginning to be lumped into the same category as actual terrorists that shoot, that bomb, that maim, that murder. And that is very disconcerting to me because it means that you're now criminalizing a much larger portion of the populace. And if that's the case, then we're in trouble. Not because of the terrorists that are flooding our borders, but because there is no room for dissent anymore. There's no room for saying that person's wrong. One of the features of our country is supposed to be that we can say that we don't agree with the policies of our administration. They can even protest it, and you're not killed for it or labeled a terrorist. But that's changing now. Just to kind of wrap this all up, the woman, and I saw videos of it from several angles. Again, the president said that the woman tried and did run over a particular agent. And so therefore they felt needful to shoot her. to stop her. Which, if that's true, then, that it's tragic. It's may not have even been necessary, but I can understand it. But when I saw the video, and maybe I saw a portion of the video, so I'm trying to keep my mind open to other suggestions. But in looking at the video, and again from several angles, it doesn't appear that the woman was actually trying to hit an officer, an ICE officer. It looked like she was trying to get away. Because if you look at the wheels while she's trying to get away, the front wheel, remember, usually most cars are front wheel drive. Yeah. You can see the wheels in the front beginning to turn away from the official, knowing that there was someone in front of the car. But the wheels were trying to turn away from the official. Maybe the official couldn't see it, so he panicked and shot her. That could definitely happen. And of course, have they been trained like police? Probably not. So even police make mistakes. But police also know how to de-escalate a situation to keep loss of life low. But when she turned her steering wheel, was about to go, then you hear shots ring out. And the car from that point follows the trajectory of her wheel, hits other cars, hits a tree. And of course she's dead. If she was actually trying to get away, and the wheel turning seems to be that case, was she really a terrorist? Or was she a person that just got in over her head? Got into a situation that she couldn't control and panicked. And from her panic, she died. What is the definition of terrorism? God bless you.